Hey everyone, welcome back to another Diablo movie review. Today we're going to be reviewing Backrooms. Backrooms is an A24 movie directed by Kane Parsons, also maybe known as Kane Pixels. If you know him from his YouTube background, he actually came up kind of doing some short films about the Backrooms, so it's kind of cool to see him actually come into a director role for the feature film. But yeah, Backrooms, directed by Kane Parsons, starring Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renate. Reinsve. I don't know if I pronounce her last name. But yeah, Chiwetel Ejiofor stars as Clark, and Renate stars as his therapist named Mary. And just some background, I guess, on the film is the Backrooms, like many of you probably know, is based on a game that a lot of people, a horror game people play. I myself have watched some of like the YouTubers I watch and like some streamers, play this game. I'm not really good with horror, but I enjoy watching people play it. But it also, this whole concept of the Backrooms came from just a single photo on 4chan, I believe, years ago in like 2019, and then that turned into a game. And it's kind of interesting seeing how that little, like that domino effect, where that photo, this creepy pasta photo of the Backrooms, turned into kind of almost like this cult, like classic, I know it's kind of popular, but it's still like, I feel like a very culty classic, like game. And now it's really reached like mainstream levels where we're seeing a, huge feature film. That a lot of people I feel like are very excited about. I felt like there was a lot of excitement about this film. Again, I'm not a big horror person, but even I was looking forward to this film. I thought the trailers were excellent and it looked really interesting and engaging. So I really wanted to, go out and see this movie as soon as I could. And yeah, uh, I think it also goes to speak to how we're seeing more and more like the delineation, like separation of like, this online like media and like this like quote unquote higher echelon media where you have like film and television kind of that barriers kind of blending in, and you're seeing like a lot of resurgence, honestly, or like well, a huge resurgence I should say of video game movies in the recent years. We had Uncharted with Tom Holland, we had the Minecraft movie, the Super Mario movies, some big movies, very successful movies, maybe not movies I thought were all the greatest films, but it's cool to see some of these like lesser known properties or properties that were really confined to just the video game space now making it into the film space and Hollywood. So it's really cool to see that change over the years. I think it's like kind of how we saw westerns and superhero movies kind of take over certain eras of film. I think maybe we're starting to see that for video game adaptations into film. But anyways, let's get into the movie. So again, I'm not a big horror movie person. I'm kind of a baby when it comes to horror, to be honest. Um, so definitely not, I would say, the foremost expert on horror. But that being said, I thought this movie was really good. I thought it was extremely well shot, and I think that's kind of maybe expected of an A24 film. I think you see that and you kind of already expect kind of a higher level. And A24 really does horror well. If you're thinking about movies like The Witch, The Lighthouse, and just like other films they've done in like the past, they really have, I feel like, this corner of the market really cornered off and like really perfected it. And the Backrooms is no different. I think the cinematographer Jeremy Cox did like an excellent job. I was really blown away. I actually found myself being distracted a little bit by the cinematography. Um, the way the film is shot is that no matter what, even when you're not, quote unquote, in the back rooms, you kind of always feel no matter what, you're still there. Because the way it's shot and the framing of it makes it feel like you're in these rooms, you're in this hallway. It feels very claustrophobic to say, and it's like such a consistent like theme where you're seeing it from, it doesn't matter if you're in the therapist room, like in the therapist like counseling room, or in the store, or in someone's house. Like it doesn't matter. The framing of the shots keep it consistent, where you feel like you're always in the back rooms and you're feeling this like claustrophobia. It really creates like a sense of like tension and anxiety throughout the film. Like I felt it right away in like the first like 10 minutes. And even the first 10 minutes of this movie, if the first 10 minutes of this film were the full like 2 hour film, it it would be one of the scariest films I've ever seen. Um, and not saying the rest of the film isn't scary, but just I felt like they really like throw you into it right off the bat, and I think it's a good way to get your blood going and kind of you know get to know what you just get a feel for what to expect, and they really do that. I think they really the way it's shot and like the way the pacing of the film goes, they really want you to always have that sense of anxiety and dread of what could be around the corner because you're always kind of looking at every little dark corner and every shadow. You're like, what's going to come out? Like when they round this corner, when they open this door, what's coming? Like I think they did really well where they build up that dreaded anxiety where even if nothing does, pop out and jump at you, you're kind of expecting it. You're almost getting like trained to expect it. So you're just always like on edge, just expecting something to happen, um, which I think is just wonderfully done. Also, the music. I think Ken Parsons, and I forget the other gentleman's name, but Ken Parsons, who directed the film, also I think worked on the music. He has a background in music, and the music in this film is excellent. And I think that also adds to the tone and the dread that I was talking about. Is that the music and just the audio mix that they have throughout the film just like it's like breathing, it's like little noises, it's just that little extra bit they're doing to set that atmosphere of what's coming, what's there. It's the idea that something is coming or something could be there that I think is scarier than even when something does happen because you're just always in a constant state of something's happening, something's happening. It's I don't know what's coming, I don't know what it is, but something's like there. And so between the cinematography and the music, you're just constantly in a state of like being on the edge of your seat, just waiting for something to happen. So I thought that was absolutely wonderful. And then yeah, like I think it's just a horror movie. My personal favorite horror movie is Sinister. So for me, that's like the number one horror movie um, of all time. Obviously, Conjuring is very good and stuff like that. Um, but this film does a really good job. I thought the production and also like the prosthetics and creatures. People that are familiar with the games will recognize some of the characters or creature features that are in this film. I know there was one specific scene where you could tell who in the audience was a fan of the games because everyone knew when something happened or when something kind of showed up in a certain part of the film. Everyone was like, "Oh," because if you're a fan, you know what was coming. Um, try not to spoil anything because I think people should go out and experience it. But yeah, definitely really good. I thought all the characters. I thought Chiwetel did a really good job. I think Chiwetel Ejiofor is a great actor. Obviously, 12 Years a Slave is one of his best films. But again, say hi to Charlie, my cat. She always like to cameo in these reviews. But yeah, Chiwetel Ejiofor did a great job playing Clark. Really brought like a dynamic element to him. I thought he was a very interesting character. There was a little part where I kind of uh, maybe had somewhat of an issue with like I don't want to say it's a pivot in his character, but there was certainly an evolution of his character that maybe I felt was a little quick. Um, but you know, I still think the performance overall he gave was excellent. I thought Renate, who played therapist Mary, did a great job. Much more of reserve. I feel like there is a lot of storytelling in this film that's done visually. There's not a lot of, I would say, exposition. This is not an exposition heavy film. It is much more of a visual film. So I felt like there was a lot of like maybe even uh, background to the characters that was shown visually. Not you kind of piece it together so you understand there is a certain like baggage some of these characters claim. I mean, with Chiwetel, maybe it's much more stated versus Mary's character, who's kind of hinted at through like some flashbacks. But I think they both did a great job in their characters' roles. And there's a couple like side characters, but really it's Chiwetel and Renate's movie. Those are like kind of like the main protagonists of the film. Um, but yeah, No, great film. A lot of Easter eggs for those who love the games and like kind of the lore. I'm not a big lore, like I'm not a big, huge lore per se of Backrooms, so I'm not even sure like kind of the like mythology of everything. As I said, I watched the film, I watched the game like people play it. I myself have not really deep dived into it, so I'm sure there's probably more Easter eggs for people that maybe know more of the history, more of the mythos of the Backrooms. But no, really good. Also, another tidbit was one of the creatures is played by Robert Bobrovsky. He was like a I can't apologize again for if I'm mispronouncing his last name, but he was like a basketball player, real tall, lanky dude. I believe he also played the alien humanoid hybrid in Alien Romulus. So he's kind of got that like tall, weird creature market really cornered down for himself. I mean, dude's like what 7'2" or whatever, and he's just kind of built to portray these like weird, lanky monster characters, which I respect. You know, go get your bag. But so that was interesting. But yeah, definitely really good film. I really recommend it. I think on a scale from 1 to 5, I'm gonna come up with a kind of like signature rating system. Maybe we'll do like hot sauces, you know, Diablo, you know, hot, spicy, you know, maybe that'll be my rating system. You know, if you're watching this, leave a comment. I'm open to suggestions, but for now, we'll keep it basic to like, you know, 5 stars. Um, but out of 5 stars for a horror movie, I'm gonna judge this within the context of a horror film. I think this is a 3.5, 4 star. I felt like the ending definitely set up for like a sequel. Um, I feel like this movie's gonna do well financially, barring something you know drastic happening. So I feel like we'll probably hear in the coming days or weeks that they will probably greenlight a sequel. But the ending definitely was a little. It was interesting. I'm not sure if the ending will be to everyone's liking. It's definitely I feel like an artistic choice to kind of end the film the way it did. Um, so that might bump it down a little bit for some folks. So for me, I think it would be like a 3.5, 4. But to just give it a small number, I'll probably say just a 3.5 star out of 5, which is still great. Like that's a great rating, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, go check out Backrooms. You know, let me know what you think. Again, had a good time. I think everyone in my theater left really happy. And it was a pretty full theater. I actually had trouble finding tickets, to be honest. A lot of the screenings I had here in Orlando were full. Besides, you know, the front rows, and I don't really like sitting in the front rows. But yeah, go check out Backrooms and let me know what you think. I'm also going to be out on vacation this coming week, so I will be a little behind with other reviews. I still need to review Obsession. Scary movies coming out this week, so that'll be delayed while I'm on vacation. So I'm just going to try to catch up. Apologies. Please bear with me. I will try to get ahead of this in the future. Um, but you know, time constraints. And yeah, but appreciate it. Feel free to drop a like, comment, subscribe. Again, I'm just doing this more for fun, but you know, any engagement is always appreciated. So yeah. Anyways, have a good one, guys.